In Chapter 1 of Fathers of Nations, we see the guests at Seamount Hotel. 4 persons are booked in at the same hotel in Banjul, Gambia's capital. They do not know each other and therefore are strangers. The first to check in is a professor in the Institute of Development at the University of Nairobi, called Karanja Kimani, who is 69 years old. He is given a room on the 4th floor, East Wing. Then comes in to check in is Ngobila Melusi, about 70 years old, and is allocated a room on the 5th floor of the South Wing. He is a comrade and a citizen of Zimbabwe. The third guest is Pastor Chiamaka, who is something like 50 years old, who served as a pastor at the Church Inside Africa, CIA, in Lagos, Nigeria, and is booked on the 6th floor of the West Wing. While the last guest to report is Engineer Tahir, former employer in the Ministry of Defense in Tripoli, Libya. Engineer is about 40 years old and is given a room on the 3rd floor. The 4 visiting strangers receive a call in less than an hour after being booked in the same hotel. They are called with the same person who does not divulge details about himself. He only identifies himself as a guide, and he gives the same set of instructions about unlocking the suitcases of the 4 men using similar codes. 11:24. Professor Karanja receives a call from the caller, who asks him if he has received a briefcase and tells him the unlock credentials. The attempts to unlock the briefcase prove futile. The same happens to Comrade Melusi, Pastor Chiamaka, and Engineer Tahir. These seem strange. Another guest at the hotel, Dr. Afolabi, a lecturer at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria, hears someone call him from behind. He meets Fiona McKenzie, who is a reporter with the Gambian News. Fiona McKenzie interviews Dr. Afolabi on his book, Failure of States, and he is also to cover Africa's Heads of State debate at the Pinnacle Hotel. Dr. Afolabi informs her that the heads of states will be debating a document called Way Omega, which was published by 20 Nobel laureates on the ways to change Africa. The Africa's ministers for planning had liked the document, and the heads of states were to adopt it as a common development strategy for all African nations. Fiona feels that not all heads of states will adopt the Way Omega strategy for the reason that not all of them are fair players, because some got into power with military coups and rigged elections. In this chapter, the 49 foreign heads of states are soon to start a debate at Pinnacle Hotel, 2 streets from Seamount Hotel. They seem happy to be in Banjul for the summit. However, Gambians find this summit as a huge inconvenience and expensive. Bulldozers were dispatched in the night to a slam clearance exercise to remove the roadside kiosks on which whole families depended upon and create pathways for the dignitaries. Checkpoints were now everywhere, and this gave the guard an opportunity to extort bribes from the passers-by. There was short supply of water, as all water was used for the fountains to please and mesmerize the dignitaries. The Ministry of Internal Security and the Ministry of Defense decided to have all 49 foreign heads of states stay in the same hotel to give the guards easy time to protect them. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Internal Cooperation were given the task of seating the heads of states right from the arrival at the State House and at the Pinnacle Hotel. It was noted that there were some challenges when it came to the seating arrangement and the hotel arrangement. The guests were seated according to the initial alphabetical letters of their names. Angola and Algeria sat next to the host, while Zambia and Zimbabwe came last. Let us now get to the next session of possible questions.
My name is Teacher Samuel. Welcome to the Possible Questions Analysis. Here are the possible questions to guide you understand the first chapter of the Fathers of Nations. 1. Sedia Coincides. Discuss the relevance of the title, Fathers of Nations, by Paul B. Vita, in the context of the first chapter. 2. What is the main conflict in the first chapter? For example, Abiola Afolabi is asked for an example to validate his book, Failure of States, and the Way Omega Document 3. What question is asked to Abiola Afolabi, and how does he interpret it differently from the questioner? E.g., why do you want to steal my wife? The word I used is marry. You prefer steal? 4. Identify and explain 2 character traits of Abiola Afolabi and one of Fiona McKenzie as brought out in the first chapter. 5. Summarize the main events, characters, and themes of the first chapter of Fathers of Nations. 5. 6. How does the first chapter set the stage for the rest of the book? E.g., the 4 strangers who meet at the summit bring inconvenience to locals.